Well, Prince Harry was back in London in the United Kingdom, and then, of course, within minutes seemingly, he popped up over in Ukraine. But did anybody else notice this? As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're in a rooftop garden here, actually. It's literally minutes away from Buckingham Palace. I suspect, if I'm honest, right, this would be the sort of place that His Majesty the King, King Charles III, would not really like at all. It is one of these places where, they put like all sorts of big screens up and big events. It's a nice sort of safe haven, I have to tell you, from, the busy sort of streets below. But it is literally, as I say, seconds away from Buckingham Palace. So it's a strange thing, really. Also, the building at the side of me that you're looking for is, of course, Westminster Cathedral, a beautiful cathedral. And listen, a bit of a royal connection, because way back in November 1995, the Cardinal there at the time, Basil Hume, welcomed for the first time since Reformation a sitting monarch in Queen Elizabeth, who attended solemn vespers. And when you think, you kind of, you look at these things and you read them and you think, wow, she really did break a lot of ground, didn't she, Queen Elizabeth? Well, the same be said, of course, for the former royal known as Prince Harry. What's interesting here, as we can see, Prince Harry went along, by the way, we haven't had a wave, have we? Sorry, but Prince Harry went along to Ukraine, basically saying that, the United Kingdom is literally unsafe for him, his wife. It was a pathetic sort of rhetoric when you think about it, to sort of say, well, it's that bad, but let's go to a war zone. Now, I don't know if you noticed this with Harry, but of course, he's having obviously very bad PR, as many people know, all thanks to the fallout of the Centre Barley charity. And what you got to do at this point is remind people, as I've often said, this is what celebrities do. They remind people as to why and how and what you liked about them. And Harry loves to plant himself in the middle of a war zone. There's no two ways about it. He sort of is desperate, really, for the royal life that he claims he wanted the freedom flight from, And it's really not the case, because why would you run over there? Was there a specific request? Well, it's all hooked upon this, the Invictus Games, camera crew in tow. And what you will notice, of course, is this. He's wearing the branded content. Now, let's just cast our minds back to February over in Canada when, yes, if you remember, Meghan never wore any of the branded content, or indeed Harry, until more or less the final period. What was the reasoning behind that? Well, many suspected, of course, that Meghan wanted to make sure that she could merchandise whatever else she was wearing at that time. And we've seen that with her Shop My Shop or whatever, with the makeup and everything else that she's doing. So why was Harry doing this? Well, people are saying he's merchandising the product himself, the Invictus product. What I would tell you is this, it's rather interesting, because this now will be deemed as, how can I put this nicely, a working trip. Right? So the fact that he's gone out there, shot something for Invictus, which could be possibly used either on the website or, in some news function. Well, naturally, people are suspecting this. And naturally, I did a little bit of digging, because consequently, if you look at this, this could be, as I say, deemed as a working trip. And by that, what really could that mean is that somebody else picks up the bill. As ever, we have to say allegedly. When the accounts come out, it will be interesting to see who footed the bill via London while he attended that particular court hearing for his security. But either way, if Harry thinks that this is going to detach away from the engulfing problems that Dr. Sophie Chanduka is literally hammering at him, because apparently, according to her, he wasn't present, he wasn't sort of active within that charity. Well, this really is not going to work. Slipping on some branding and maybe, as I said, putting this out into another domain, as it were, another expense claim, is going to do nothing to endear you to the people that apparently liked you the first time around. But desperate times, as I often say, call for desperate measures. And according to sources, Harry really, this big flamboyant, I'm stepping back from the charity. If you haven't been there for 5 years, how much further do you need to step back? And this is what's really going to engulf Harry as these things now take bigger centre stage. Either way, look at the pictures, decide for yourself, why did Harry hoof it all the way from the safety of London? Yes, I know there's problems here, but certainly not as many problems as there are in Ukraine. And as ever, sources tell me that Harry would have liked the culmination of that particular trip by having a picture with, well, some might say that shy, retiring media person that is, of course, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. Either way, it kind of, how can I put this nicely, should have worked in his favour, but that's really down to you and I, the general public. Do we buy it? Neil Sean in the very heart of London's Victoria Gardens.